Well, happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everyone is having an awesome day. Hope your week has gone well. We are closing out the week one more day. Tomorrow, Friday, of your final week before school starts back. Whether you're doing virtual, you're being homeschooled, or you're going back to in-person school on Tuesday. Tomorrow's final day of the week before you go back to school. Know y'all hate I keep reminding y'all about that, but it's time. It's here. I know many of you are ready to get back. Many of you are ready to get back to church, and we are working diligently on that. September 13th is the date we will be back in here together. So I'm super excited about that. I'm also super excited about tonight at 6:30. We will be back. We have a Zoom meeting scheduled for any of you that want to jump on, hang out for a little bit, see each other face to face. Actually got my schedule worked out this week where we can sit down and Zoom with one another for a little bit. So hope you join us there tonight at 6:30. Be on the lookout on Instagram, Facebook for the link to that. We'll also be shooting a text message out to you guys this afternoon. But today we're continuing in our study of the book of Jonah, and we're gonna look at the last verse of chapter 2 and step into the first couple verses in chapter 3. So yesterday we looked at pretty much all of chapter 2. We skipped over just a little bit. It's kind of a chapter 2 is just simply Jonah's prayer while he's in the belly of the fish. And so I encourage you to go back, read through some of that yourself, but we kind of just looked over the gist of it yesterday. Was just basically Jonah being humbled by God. And today we're going to jump down to verse 10 of chapter 2 and then get going into chapter 3, the first part of chapter 3. So let's dive in. So verse 10, chapter 2 says, "Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah on a dry land." That's disgusting. And chapter 3 says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach the message that I tell you." Verse 3, Jonah got up and went to Nineveh according to the Lord's command. So I want to kind of compare the first part of chapter 1 and the first part of chapter 3. So verse 1 in chapter 1 says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai." Verse 1 in chapter 3 says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time." So God spoke. Verse 2 of chapter 1 says, "Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach against it, because their evil has come before me." Verse 2 of chapter 3 says, "Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach the message that I tell you." Verse 3 in chapter 1 says, Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish from the Lord's presence. Chapter 3, verse 3 says, Jonah got up and went to Nineveh according to the Lord's command. So in two short chapters, Jonah has radically changed his mindset. He has been humbled. He refocuses, says, "Okay, God, I recognize this is exactly what you want me to do. I don't need to be afraid. I don't need to be worried. I just need to go and dive in and do what you've called me to do." So in in chapter 3, we see that. In verse 3 it says, Jonah got up and he went to Nineveh. He did what God had called him to do. So guys, sometimes we have to, sometimes we run away from what God's called us to do. We don't do what we should do all the time, every time. But I believe God truly blesses us when we come back around and we wind up doing what he's called us to do in the first place. So no matter what God has called you to do, no matter what God has put you in the middle of, sometimes we go through these storms in our lives, guys, just for God to get us back on track, to get us right where we're supposed to be. You know, I think a lot of times we look at these storms in life and we struggle and we worry about the things that are coming against us and why would God let this happen? Guys, sometimes God allows things to happen just so we can be on the right track, so we can be right perfectly in the middle of God's will, exactly where he wants us to be. And I pray that that's where you find yourself today. I pray that right now, in this moment, that you find yourself right perfectly in the middle of God's will for your life, that you're doing what he called you to do, and you are following him to the best of your ability, and following him with everything that you have. So tomorrow we'll dive in and kind of finish up this week in continuing in our study of Jonah. Friday will actually be our last time out at 2 o'clock. Next week, what we're going to start doing is we will be coming to you before school starts. I'm going to have a little bit of conversation about that tonight on our Zoom meeting. So if you'd like to hear and know more about that, please dive in tonight on Zoom, because we're going to be making some big decisions, whatever is going to be most helpful for you guys to encourage you every morning before you go back to school. So I pray that you guys meet us here at 6:30 on Zoom, or we're going to be live on Facebook. and Facebook and on YouTube. So if you need anything, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I'm praying for you guys desperately. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be meeting here at the church at 9:30 to break off into teams, and we're going to go to every school in our community and pray for them and pray for the schools before you guys go back on Tuesday. So if you and your parents would like to come and join us for that tomorrow morning at 9:30, I encourage you to do so. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. But make sure you have a ride here and also a ride to go to whatever school you get teamed up to go to. But love you guys, praying for. If you need anything, don't hesitate to let me know, and I cannot wait to see you guys again tonight at 6:30. But I love y'all. Until